Do you think we're going to have a bull market cycle that goes all the way through 2025 into 2026?
Absolutely. The market's definitely going to react before the inauguration. I would expect as much as a week out, possibly the 13th, we could see some traction in the markets. XRP itself, I think we're eyeing 390 and $3.90, which would be a new all-time high.
Patrick, are you in line with us that there are so many anomalies that point to the fact that shrinking of the government, getting rid of the IRS, no more tax on tips, no more tax on pensions, no more tax on a lot of stuff? Are we in the movement of Nasara Jasara, and the closest thing that they're calling it is Deutsche Department of Government Efficiency? But before we get started, folks, make sure you hit the pause button. Okay, go down below. There's a Rumble link. Go over to Rumble and follow us over there. QFS1776.com is without question the holy grail of what's to come. Okay, t-shirts, you got to get yourself decorated. This way people will ask you, what is XRP? What is the quantum financial system? What is this? What is that? And you send them where? To QFS1776.com, where they need to immerse themselves, because we're going to burn down this system down to the ground. And out of the ashes will rise the phoenix. There will be nothing to go back to. Believe me when I tell you that. Also, our Telegram groups down below. If you want to learn what's coming and you're sort of a little scared, I understand. Believe me, I was there too at one point. And if you need more than $10,000 worth of XRP or $1 million worth of XRP, you come see me. Send me an email at QFS1776@gmail, and we'll get you as much as you want. Gold and silver. Welcome to CarminesGold.com. Don't waste not even a second looking. Cheaper prices just don't exist. How important is it for you to own gold and silver right now? What does it mean to me personally? There's an economy that's about to crash beyond what words can explain. In 5 words, I'm going to educate you on gold and silver. Are you ready? You need to own some. Simple. Well, we got the one and only Patrick Riley, who's going to be where? At the Quantum Summit, March 8th and March 9th. And he thinks we're going to have a blowout. I think he's probably right. I'm beating myself up because things never go fast enough for Mel Carmine. But he just started. He's the founder of this Quantum Financial Systems LLC. Is that what it's called?
That's correct.
Okay. And you're also Reaper.Financial?
Yep. So I actually have 7 companies, but Quantum Financial Systems LLC is the parent company that they all live underneath.
Wow, interesting. And you had an accident when you were in the Army, and that accident, something hit your head, and you came out actually more intelligent. There's a name for that. And then you started inventing all kinds of free energy technology. He gave free energy technology basically the whole, system on how to build one in your garage at the last Quantum Summit. And he might have something that's going to blow our doors off even more so this time around. Maybe the reason why you want to be there. We're both in alignment. We're both in agreement that if the XRP, the excitement level builds up, which we know it will, and Donald Trump is going to put the hand on the Bible and the XRP, because just like the markets reacted to when he was about to get elected, 4 hours prior to him getting elected, the markets predicted, because the markets are alive, the markets think, the markets are intelligent, and the markets reacted. And I believe the markets are going to react all over again, despite of all of the fires and all of the conspiracy theories and all the noise and bullshit that's out there. Patrick, welcome to the show, brother. You're one of the most intelligent people I know, and I'm honored to know you, and I'm honored to have you at the Quantum Summit.
Well, thank you, Mel. And yeah, absolutely. The market's definitely going to react before the fact, before the inauguration. I would expect as much as a week out, possibly the 13th, we could see some traction in the markets.
Interesting. I said between the 17th, which is my favorite number, all the way till the 19th. I think that's a fair assessment. How high do you think it could go before Donald Trump puts his hand on the Bible? How high do you think it could go after he takes the hand off the Bible? And is this a momentum that carries us, as I'm predicting, maybe we're in agreement or maybe we're not? And we don't have to be always in agreement, but do you think we're going to have a momentum, a bull market cycle that goes all the way through 2025 into 2026?
I definitely think we're looking at a super cycle if Donald Trump and his administration is following through on all of the things that we've heard them saying as far as cryptocurrency. By his inauguration, by the 20th, XRP itself, I think we're eyeing 390 and $3.90, which would be a new all-time high. That's kind of my conservative estimate. It could certainly go much higher than that because we are at the end of another bull flag after having broke out of a 7-year bull flag. Gary Gensler resigns on the 20th, just before Trump's inaugurated. Also, we have 3 days prior to that, on the 17th, there's a commissioner of the SEC is resigning, who was a Democrat appointed commissioner. So that's going to leave just one Democrat really in the SEC commissioners after Gary and this other guy are gone. And then we never know what that's going to do to the case. As soon as that happens, we could see this case against XRP dropped. We also have the deadline for the appeal is the 15th. And of course, I would expect the SEC will follow through with an appeal by the 15th, probably last minute as they usually do. However, I also wouldn't be surprised if that gets shot down just a few days later.
Interesting. My co-host, Elisa Valentino, who, by the way, she's doing a fabulous job, and I'm about to build a team of all women co-hosts, and I might be bringing on one additional co-host by the name of Colin O'Brien, who might be also thrown into the mix at the Quantum Summit come March 8th and 9th, who's incredibly intelligent when it comes to the quantum financial system. And Nasara Jasara, even though it's not going to be called that, we know that, but there are so many anomalies at this point. Patrick, are you in line with us that there are so many anomalies that point to the fact that shrinking of the government, getting rid of the IRS, no more tips on no more tax on tips, no more tax on pensions, no more tax on a lot of stuff? Are we in the movement of Nasara Jasara, and the closest thing that they're calling it is Deutsche Department of Government Efficiency?
Well, we're definitely moving towards default on the national debt. I'll put it that way. And there has to be some kind of plan. They're not oblivious to this. There's going to be some action on the part of the government within the next 4 years to address that $36 trillion debt before it becomes 40 trillion. They have to start turning and dialing that number back. But the easier way to do that, and this will sound a little bit anti-Trump, but it's really not, the easiest way to do that is a bankruptcy, and Trump's experienced in that. So the reality is that we can bankrupt the Federal Reserve, we can drop all of that debt, and we can say, nope, here's the new money, here's the new currency. I personally expect that will be XRP ledger based, or RLUSD, which is, for those that don't know what that actually stands for, it's not Ripple US dollar, it's real US dollar. So I don't know how many people caught that subtlety, but words matter.
So you're basically saying, let me explain that in a New York state of mind, okay? You're basically saying we're going to start from a clean slate, and we're going to tell the gangsters, banksters, fuck you, we're not paying you. Get the fuck out of here with your $38 trillion debt on phony money that you're printing out of
Well,
thin air.
the crazy thing here is that whether we're telling the banksters to fuck off or not, it's in their benefit as well for us to go basically bankrupt and start over with a clean slate, because we're not going to be able to earn them or pay them or make money for them or produce a GDP that makes them richer in the state that we're in right now. We have to reset the financial system for our good and for their good. It's going to happen, period.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your new company that you just started, called the Quantum Financial System LLC. Tell us what that is all about. Do you have a token that's attached to that? How does the
Uh,
token work? What utility it has, etc.
So Quantum Financial Systems LLC, and I'm just showing that to prove that yes, I do own that name, and that's a official LLC out of Texas. As all the best things God made are out of Texas. Just waiting for him to spit his drink as I said that, but um, so Quantum Financial Systems does not have a token. It is a management and holding company that holds all of our other companies. So we have under that Reaper Financial, which is a burn as a service. It is currently making active payments towards holders' debts. So we're paying towards people's mortgages, towards their student loans, towards their car notes, that type of thing. We've been paying out, some people are receiving a few $100s every 2 weeks towards their debts. Now, the second business we have under that is Ascension Index. Ascension is paying out gold and silver, which can be redeemed for physical gold and silver bullion. And we have been sending out ounces of gold, ounces of silver to our holder for redeeming those tokens. We also have ARC Institute, which is working from the charitable fundraising angle. So we do fundraising as a service. From that, we've been able to raise over $100,000 for many different charities. So we've got Innocence Project, Mobile Loaves and Fishes, Battle Dogs, and Raising Men and Women Lawn Care are our four primary charities we support. And then we also have Pillars, which is collateralization as a service. So we are collateralized for all of the QFS assets that are on the XRP ledger. They are backed by XRP. We currently have 464,000 XRP back in the ecosystem. And we're also backing some of the other tokens that are out there.
Interesting. Now, Donald Trump's kids are gung ho about digital assets. You know that Brad Garlinghouse, along with Stu Algarati, recently visited the White House, not the White House, rather, well, the White House, the Florida White House called Mar-a-Lago. Okay. And I understand that they spent quite some time together and they had a long dinner and long talks. Man, would you want to be like a cockroach on a wall listening to that conversation?
Not the cockroach, but I would definitely have loved to be in the room. Now I will say, and this is just to temper people's enthusiasm a little bit. It's not that I'm being bearish or anything like that. I'm extremely bullish on XRP and I'm hoping this next administration makes everyone's dreams come true. But I will temper it by saying that Ripple did donate $4 million to Trump's inauguration, which is what got them the seat at that table. I think that's a good move on their part, and I hope the conversation was fruitful. But basically, that was a pay for appearance type of thing. So Michael Saylor was also there. He'll probably be in jail within 10 years. So, that's just food for thought. So take it with a grain of salt, but I hope that great conversations were had.
Awesome. What do you think? That you think the kids own some XRP, even though it seems that they're going along with the Bitcoin narrative? Are they doing that for political reasons? What's the narrative? What's their agenda? What is the motive?
So I would be willing to bet absolutely that the Trumps own XRP, and the reason I think that is actually before Trump was really even a topic in regards to cryptocurrency. I would look to Michael Mellon and Carnegie Mellon, or the BNY Mellon Bank of New York, which Michael Mellon, who was the previous CEO of BNY Mellon and disappeared in 2018 in a drug rehab facility where he allegedly died in Mexico. As billionaires do, he was holding more than $500 million in XRP. Now, New York being important because Michael Mellon and BNY Mellon, which was the second oldest bank in the United States, started in 1783, I believe, as Carnegie Mellon. That bank being part of New York City as a staple for 220 years, and Donald Trump being the biggest real estate mogul in New York City for the past 40, there's 0% chance that there wasn't a crossover in those two gentlemen. And there's a 0% chance that whatever Michael Mellon knew to hold that much XRP, Donald Trump didn't know. I don't even see that scenario as realistic. So absolutely, they hold XRP and they're aware of XRP. They know what it's going to do.
Yeah. Are you on the same page I just recently made a video basically saying that Donald Trump's really not going to have a choice. There's going to be one last war, but this war is going to be a very different kind of war. And he's going to literally grab the Mexican government by the round ones, by the balls. And the Mexican government's not really going to have much of a choice to go along with Donald Trump's plan and to go in and crush the cartel, get rid of all the illegal psychopaths, and crush MS-13, 18th Street Gang, the Latin Kings. Are you on board with me on that? Because you cannot have, fentanyl coming over the border and our people dying in the thousands per day, per hour sometimes. And you got Nasara, Jasara, whether they call it that or they don't call it that, it's irrelevant. Side by side, you can't have the light and the dark coexist in the same room. Someone's got to die, someone's going to live. Talk to us.
Yeah, so there's a really important historical context here about understanding who actually runs the cartel, who actually runs the organized crime syndicates like MS-13. So really, they are run by the CIA. The CIA, and if you go into Operation Paperclip and the Mafia, Operation Gladio, you start to understand that the CIA, the Mafia, the cartel, and also the Nazi Party and the Zionists, who are on the other side of things, as far as the public believes, they're all one organization. That is the cabal, is essentially that criminal organization of all of these things together. So when it comes to Mexico and grabbing Mexico by the balls, we already have Mexico by the balls. But unfortunately, when I say we, I don't mean the American people. I mean the CIA. And it's real easy. All they really got to do is go and pick up somebody who's within 10 to 5 rings from the top of any criminal organization. They put that person's balls, as you said, in a vice grip, and they say, well, you're going to give us the names of the people above you, et cetera, et cetera. They go and they take out those people above them, usually not through law enforcement means, and they elevate that person that just betrayed them to the top of that organization. That's what they did with Pablo Escobar.
Mm.
Now they have their man running that criminal organization, whether that's the Sinaloa cartel, whether that's the MS-13, it doesn't matter. There is no criminal organization of any note in Central America. There is no terrorist organization in the Middle East that is not being run by an intelligence agency, period.
Now, I know you were in the military. You're a civilian now, correct?
That's correct.
You understand when I say that we're going to unleash the full might of the American military on the cartel. They're going to crush, as far as I'm concerned, and I could be wrong, and you can correct me because you were in the military. I was not in the military. And I don't think this war is going to last more than 2 or 3 weeks at the very most.
Yeah, right. I mean, we absolutely know where they are. We know who they are. We know what they do. If we wanted to crush the cartel, we could do it in a matter of days, and with ease. Now, I will say our military has been gutted under the Biden administration. Quite a few of our resources are severely depleted because everything's been sent from our warehouses over to Ukraine. We've got most of our units, our BCTs, are at less than deployable strength. So a lot of that needs to be replenished and fixed by Donald Trump before we would be able to action a lot of those things. I will say that, of course, we have the ability to adapt and overcome. So just because some of those units are weakened doesn't mean we can't, shift a few things around and get the job done just as well.
Yeah, Donald Trump knows how to do that probably in record speed, record time. And let me, just for the audience sake, and I'm sure you could back me up on this, the weaponry that the United States government has, folks, is parlance, the best of the best. And this is due really mostly to Donald Trump last term, when they finagled the bagel with that election thing in 2020, which we won't get into here. But they have drones, for example. You could be like walking down the street. They have drones that, let's say, for example, they choose the guy in the middle. They will literally chop that guy in half, where half the body falls this way, the other half falls that way, which means the other two guys that are sitting on the left and the right, understand who's in charge very, very quickly. I mean, we will absolutely destroy them, decimate them in literally no time at all. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things you predict Donald Trump will do besides, going to war with the cartel and simultaneously closing the border. I'm predicting that he's got at least 30 committees of people that are patriots that know how to execute. These are people that are not going to take any bullshit. They have a precise plan in place to execute and hit a bullseye, right? Day one. Uh, Closing the border is on top of the agenda. The Keystone Pipeline, throwing a ton of money at technical innovation so that the innovation comes into the United States, and we'll give you a nice green card when you come in the right way because we want the innovation to come to the United States. I mean, I think when it comes to crypto in itself, he's going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at it because we want all the smartest people in the world coming to America because that's at the end of the day what's going to make us stronger. In what order do you think that's going to happen?
Well, the order is probably I don't even bother to venture guess because I'm not going to get it right, to be honest. But I will say that if you were to read a book called Revenge of Geography by Robert Kaplan, it describes the North American continent as geographically predestined, manifest destiny, if you will, to become a single nation. And I do think that that is exactly what Donald Trump is leaning into. I think he understands the inevitability of Greenland and Canada and Mexico eventually becoming part of the United States. And I do expect him to, in the next 4 years, add territory, significant territory to the United States. With that, the rare earth minerals that we are absolutely dependent on currently, coming out of Taiwan and China, those are of abundance in Canada and Greenland because of the natural environment that maintains them. So he absolutely knows what he's doing when it comes to that. I do expect we'll see one of the above acquired within the first year, and I think he's got to move quick on it because of the situation with Taiwan and China.
Yeah. And what do you think of well, first of all, let me ask the question in a different way. Dr. Greer, on a level from 1 to 10, credibility wise, where does he stand on the Patrick Riley chart?
3.
3? You don't like him?
I don't like him. I think he's a gatekeeper. I've had contact with his team who has reached out to me when I was not reaching out to them.
Hmm.
Uh, and they reached out to me solely to tell me that they wouldn't help me, which I thought was quite bizarre when I wasn't even asking for their help. So I was highly unimpressed. And I think that Dr. Greer is your typical gatekeeper that is kind of a disinformation agent. He comes out with a limited hangout, enough information to get people's attention, and so he gets those people with real information to go to him so that he can be the one to shut them down or refer them to the people who need to shut them down. And that's generally how this game is played.
Hmm.
So I would always be extremely cautious of anyone that's positioned themselves as a leader or a linchpin within any kind of alternative information technology, anything like this, that he's pretending to be an authority on things that he can't possibly know unless he's being given that information. And as an authority, he's there to shut down any real information.
Right. Well, he was recently on Patrick Bet David. I'm sure you know who he is, the Iranian gentleman who's got a real huge podcast. He's right here out of Florida in Fort Lauderdale. Hopefully, one day the Bell Carmine will be on that show. I'm very close to. I'm communicating with their office. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, Dr. Stephen Greer appeared on his show. There's a clip of him driving the car where he's basically saying he was invited to a military installation and he has witnessed firsthand med beds or celestial chambers, as I like to call them. Med beds is sort of like a slang. What do you make of that?
That sounds silly to me that he would be
Okay.
invited. So special access programs, top secret clearance, TSCIs. sipper, the number of things that have to be considered before you give somebody access to a program like that. They're not going to give it to somebody who's out there speaking on these things to the public. And even if they were going to disclose these things, it wouldn't be through somebody who's through all mainstream media considered to basically be a kook by the mainstream. I'm not saying he is, but I think everything he's talking about is a legitimate subject. I just don't like him.
Gotcha. So he may be embellishing the fact that he got invited. Maybe somebody told him that, hey, I was there in the flesh, and maybe somebody he trusts, and he maybe embellished the story a little bit. But I
Well,
tend to believe that these med beds and these celestial chambers are coming. I think that's one of the things that they're deadly afraid of. Donald
well,
Trump.
it's totally possible. I mean, from a technological standpoint, and I love to just focus on what is possible from technology, right? And things like med beds, sound frequency healing is legitimately possible if you look into like Dr. Rife in the 1930s and his cancer research, things like that. So I will say that as far as Stephen Greer goes, you got to be real careful about people who start their career based on some form of disclosure and then expand upon that and start to find new things to disclose as they go on 20, 30, 40 years of disclosure into the world. Because the reality is, at some point, he shaped his entire personality and career and success based on being able to say outrageous and fantastic things. And at some point, he would have to run out of outrageous and fantastic things to say unless he was making things up. So I think medbeds, sure, that could be a thing. Dr. Stephen Greer getting a special invitation to a military base to see medbeds, I would say that's rating about a 5% chance of being true.
Okay, so he might embellish the story that he got invited, but there's probably evidence. I'm sure there's plenty of evidence that they do exist. No one's ever seen one. I mean, I would love to tell people that I've seen one. I could tell you I have technology in Cape Canaveral. By the way, you're learning this for the first time, Patrick. Not that you don't know, but our technology that we have at Staying Alive in Cape Canaveral, we had a lady. I won't say her last name, but her name is Julie. She's from Brickell Avenue, very affluent neighborhood, probably one of the most prestigious addresses you can have as far as addresses are concerned in Miami. Brickell Avenue is like, they got 18, $20,000 a month apartment rentals. You could rent a
Well,
penthouse for 20, thirty
that
thousand even.
just tell her to paint her roof blue.
Yeah. So, but anyway, she did a telomere a study. She came to our center. She sent the blood work off to a lab in your neck of the woods in Texas. And basically what happened was they sent the result back after she did a month. She did a before and after blood sample, and the telomeres went from 8.29, I believe, or 8.39. It could be 8.39, but I think it's 8.29 to 10.09. Actually, we had a 23% increase in telomere growth in 1 month. She stayed for an entire month. She slept every day for an entire month in the system.
That's outstanding. And if you have the data to back that up, and telomeres, for those who don't know,
It's
biology.
laminated, bro. We got it laminated. When you walk through the
Yep.
door of Staying Alive, on the wall on the left hand side, don't even, if you walk 2 feet, you walk too far. On the left hand side, you could grab them and read them for yourself. There's the name of the lab, there's the telephone number, and there's the email address.
And so, for those who don't know the microbiology of what a telomere is, basically that's the strand at the end of your DNA that dictates the life or the lifespan of that strand of DNA within the cell. So that's with Henrietta Lack and helisphere, which is something I presented at the last quantum summit. That is what basically makes the Henrietta Lack cell immortal and able to live extremely long lifespans. So yeah, if we're able to lengthen telomeres, that's a significant breakthrough in anti-aging technology.
Yeah, well, we have it. We have a third party verification from the lab itself. It is laminated. It is as soon as you walk through the door, right on the wall. And I could tell you that I'm so excited about that news that I've been sleeping there for a month myself, with the exception of a couple of days because I get a lot of interruptions being a podcaster, as you know. But I can tell you that I want my telomeres to be about 17 centimeters long by the time the quantum summit rolls around. So I'm sleeping there from now all the way until March 7th. So there you go. I'm excited about that. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that if you remember the video that I made, okay, this was the video for the opening video, the very first one at the Quantum Summit. I said, we're going to reverse the air, the dirt quality, and everything. Here we are. They just brought in RFK to do exactly what I predicted a year ago almost, right, in that video. And RFK is going to be in charge of the dirt, the air, the organic food, and we're going to have people on stage. This gentleman's name is Matt Sevachek. I forget his last name. Very difficult to pronounce. Anyway, he's going to be on stage. Him and his girlfriend are going to be working directly with the RFK administration in regards to that capacity of, taking the heavy metals out of the dirt and cleaning the dirt and putting the nutrients back in where the nutrients stay in, etc., and growing the most organic food. So you'll be able to meet these people on stage. Is that an exciting situation? What do you think is going to happen to the health of the American people when that is in play for the next 36 months?
Yeah, I have a confession in this regard is that for a large majority of my life, I was not a healthy eater. I realized that, McDonald's and fast food and all those other things were probably killing me, but I kind of didn't care because I was in the military and my body was, a bit of a war battlefield in itself. But just recently, within the last year, my fiance has started me on that health kick, and I started to, buy the right things and the organic things and eat the the more healthy options while cutting sugar out of my diet and all those things. So I really appreciate the seriousness of the topic when it comes to a societal and population level of how much we've been poisoned. And I think that if you're looking at it from a wellness or a medical perspective, the American people are enormously sick by comparison to everyone else in the world. And I think it's undeniable at this point that our FDA was co-opted and structured in such a way that they've enabled us to be poisoned. We shouldn't have the amount of sugar or any of these things in our diet that we have. And actually, I just got back from Mexico a couple days ago, and it's kind of hilarious. Any product you find from America, food-wise, has warning labels on it about how deadly it is for you.
They're warning the
In
Mexicans.
Mexico.
They're
Yeah,
warning the Mexicans about American food. Doesn't shock me.
exactly. And you think, Americans, if you've never been outside the country, you're like, oh no, Mexican food is going to make me sick. It's going to give me indigestion, or the water is bad. You get there and they're just like, no, all this American stuff, it's poison. Don't eat it. You can buy it, but don't eat it.
That's funny as shit, bro. That's real funny. So, what do you think of the fact that we've been right about the technologies that are coming? I'm very excited about flying cars. I got a video that's queued up on my big screen TV. They have a thumbnail of Xi Jinping, and they got all these flying cars behind them. And I got to go fetch that and go watch that maybe later on today when I unwind. And so, and that video's got 7.4 million views in 5 days, which means the people want this, right? The people want flying cars. We're tired of the extension of the Model T Ford with four rubber tires. And it doesn't matter whether it's a Bugatti or Lamborghini or a Chevrolet. It's still an extension of Model T Ford. What do you think of the fact that because you're a technical guy, you're not invent shit, free energy technology. I got Juan Savant literally backed up against the wall, right? And he's saying, yeah, and the flying cars are going to have over Unity motors. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I mean, I could build one to be completely blunt. Like I know how to make not only the over Unity motor, but also a car that would be basically anti-gravity. It would be using active motion, so gyroscopic instability and rotational instability to basically direct the car in an upward direction and forward. But I know that this can be done. So actually my biggest concern with flying cars is how they're going to regulate traffic, how they're going to manage that kind of thing. I do foresee a lot of automation being necessary. And we do see, with Elon Musk and Tesla and all the full self-driving stuff, this push for automation. And if we do move into flying cars, then that automation almost becomes mandatory and necessary so that we have less collisions. But that automation is also going to potentially be a downfall. At some point in the future, evil people, let's assume we free everybody and everything's good right now. At some point in the future, evil people will become in control again. And
You
having
think?
fully automated self-driving things, that's a dangerous scenario. The just full self-driving cars, let's say let's say everything continues as we are right now, without any of the revelation of GSAR, NUSAR, or free energy or any of that, but we just kind of fall into our future where we've got full self-driving cars from Elon, and now, those are kind of the norm everywhere. At some point, Elon Musk dies of old age, and it's a corporation, and that corporation is going to get bought up in shares by BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard and CIA and the Fed and everything else that would still exist. Now, what would they do with ownership over Tesla where they can impact what goes on with self-driving cars? Well, first thing they're going to do is political assassinations. They're going to be driving people into walls. They're going to start looking at how can we use this to abuse the ordinary citizen who has an arrest warrant. So one day you're going to get in your car, it's going to lock you in, and it's going to drive you to the state penitentiary, and that's that. So I don't see self-driving or automated traffic as a good thing. So for that reason, I'm real hesitant on the idea of flying cars being mainstream.
Well, here's the thing. It's going to have some checks and balances, especially for guys like me, is I don't want to be flown into a penitentiary. I'm innocent, right? Until proven guilty, right? And somebody doesn't like my politics, so they drive Mel Carmine into some penitentiary. I want to be able to have a button there that says, where I'm completely, totally in control and can say, screw you, and I'm flying Mach 34 in a different direction.
Yeah, I don't know how possible that will be in a full, automated flying car type of society where we've got millions or 100 million flying cars out there moving about.
Well, it would have to be artificial intelligence, but there have to be some safe mechanism because they could fly everybody into a concentration camp and get rid of us if the bad guys return, which I'm not completely in line with you, as I believe with the Eric Trumps of the world are going to take over after Dad, and whoever takes over after that could be a Baron Trump, or we're going to maybe have a Trump dynasty for the next 30, 40 years, which would be a wonderful thing. And it's going to take soldiers like yourself and myself to make sure that we eradicate this evil to the point where we extract it from the root and it never comes back, right?
Well, we can hope so, but I don't honestly. I see good and evil as a duality, and I think that there's a balance there. We can push good back into the limelight, into control, but I don't think that that can last forever.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So, tell us a little bit about how you came about this company called the Quantum Financial System LLC. What prompted you to start the company? And do you have any partners? Or are you by yourself? Or is your fiance your partner? How did this whole thing come about?
So Quantum Financial Systems, which replaced Atum Industries, it was formerly Atum Industries, which was, the Egyptian god of creation. But really, as I started looking at rebranding, primarily because Atum was my cat from my previous marriage, which I left with the ex, so it just didn't make sense to keep that anymore. I started thinking about rebranding, and I started thinking about what we do. So we address the debt problem. We tokenize gold and silver. We are paying out real gold and silver. We address social issues through charitable support and fundraising.
Hmm.
and we are collateralizing in XRP. And when I thought about NISAR, GSAR, and the quantum financial system everyone else had already been talking about, well, that's already exactly what I was building unintentionally. I didn't build it to fit that bill, but once I built it, I realized it does fit that bill. So because we're really already doing those things, it just made sense to go ahead and take the name that everyone else already assigned to us.
Interesting. Well, listen, it's an incredible name, and someone's already done an incredible job at branding that name. So obviously, I don't know how the hell you were able to lock that up there in Texas, but obviously you must know somebody.
I know a few people.
That's awesome. So, what are some of the things you want to talk about? What are some of the topics you're bringing to the Quantum Summit this year when you get there?
Well, I actually have a lot of different topics I could bring, and I meant to talk to you about this because I'm not sure which one you want your audience to
Well,
get.
I want a topic where I could put you because we have so many speakers. We have like 42 or 44 speakers. I don't know the exact number, but it's a big number. And some of them are coming international, as you know. So I want to put you with a team of guys that talk your kind of jargon, where it's like sort of you guys are like the paint, and I'm like the artist, along with our co-hosts and the MCs. To where we're basically painting a picture. So we got to figure the psychology of who is going to fit well with who and sort of put you together in a group of 3, 4, and 5 and have sort of like a panel. So for every person that's on stage, you're going to get 15 minutes. So if you get 4 people, you get an hour. If you get 5 people, it's going to be an hour and 15-minute panel, etc. And it's going to be an incredible conversation because just like happened the last time, it wasn't like we had a manual that says, okay, this is how you do this. There is no manual for what we do. This is entrepreneurship. This is, the school of hard knocks.
Well, I love talking about physics and technology, so if you want, I'm more than happy to be on any kind of physics and technology panel. But the thing I would like to tell everyone about the most this go round is the Viva Wallet. So we are working on and developing our own wallet for the quantum financial systems, which is going to be a direct competitor with Zaman. It's going to be XRP Ledger based, but it's going to be very different from any other wallet that has previously existed, and that there's no seed. You are the seed, and you cannot lose it. If you went into a coma for 30 years and come out, you'll still be able to get into your wallet, and you're actually going to be paid just for having this wallet in existence. So it's going to be a whole new way to use the XRP ledger that is going to be very groundbreaking, and I'm definitely looking forward to talking about it.
Well, can you, without giving away the secret sauce recipe and without talking about too much of it, because then there's no need for them to come down and meet you in person at the Quantum Summit. Can you give us a couple of tidbits on what the wallet does, the security features, etc.?
Yep. So the way we're doing this, basically you'll have your thumbprint, your eye or your pupil reading, along with your facial recognition and your KYC. So each of those will generate a 256 hash algorithm, which is your standard encryption that Bitcoin is on. And from those four combined, they will combine into a seed that would be reproducible every time. So what that does is it makes it, we won't be storing this information, just for a record. This isn't something that we're selling anywhere, but this is going to enable you to use your biometrics to always open the exact same wallet on the XRP ledger. And within that wallet, you'll be able to store NFTs, and those NFTs on the XRP ledger can have abilities. So something that, I don't know if your audience is too familiar with this, but we've been doing blockchain voting since our launch in late 2021. And we've hosted over 200 blockchain voting events flawlessly. So now when you have a one of one individual based on their biometrics that's able to open a wallet and hold an NFT, that NFT can be something like, for example, a voter ID card that gives you the ability to vote in a specific location in a specific district for your candidates. So now we could truly secure the election to this wallet, which is called Viva because it's for life. And you will be able to hold all your vital record documents on this wallet. And we're also going to be setting it up with a will and trust feature so that if anything were to happen to you, you can have pre-designated instructions for how this would distribute out to your loved ones in the event of your death.
Well, so for a hacker or somebody to steal your money, they would have to literally have your thumb and they would have to have one of your eyeballs in order to get into the wallet, correct? So
And
if they
your
don't have
face
your
and
thumb
your
or your,
KYC.
what's that?
And your face and your KYC.
So there's no way a hacker could really steal your money. Is there some back doors that maybe that somebody internally, some of your programmers have left themselves open for themselves that they could steal all of Mel Carmine's XRP and disappear and go to Buenos Aires and never to be
Uh,
seen again?
So it's still under development. So of course we will be stress testing it and pen testing it and all of those things. But no, our intention is to lead this as self-custodial and independent as humanly possible. And every address that is founded by a fully KYC'd individual that has, proved they are a one of one, those addresses will be getting paid on a regular basis in XRP for having a wallet address. So it's going to accumulate just like holding Reaper token accumulates XRP, holding Pillars token accumulates XRP. So we'll be able to do the exact same thing with the wallet.
Interesting. This is the kind of stuff that excites Mel Carmine. Now, please tell me that this is user friendly for the 75-year-old who absolutely, some of them, they're so wonderful, but sometimes they drive me wild because, they're not technically inclined. And so it's such a challenge to try and get them to use a Ledger wallet. And this could very well be the answer to simplifying it. So tell me a little about the simplicity of this.
Yeah, so it's going to be designed with a Steve Jobs and Dyson style interface. So instead of currently like Zaman and almost every crypto wallet out there, MetaMask or really any of the exchanges, they're all basically Excel spreadsheets. So they're all very ugly to look at, and you just got to scroll through it like you're going through a financial report and try to understand it and try to send things in that way. What we've done is we're basically making it so they don't have to worry about the key or the seed phrase. They don't have to worry about their own wallet address necessarily. It can be changed into a simple contact, things of that nature. And then the navigation of this is going to basically be a dial and a ball. So I actually have a mock-up I can pull up here.
Can we share the screen? This way you could go ahead and show the audience exactly what they're looking at.
Absolutely. Let me find this picture on here for
Now,
you.
are you going to have some prototypes available at the Quantum Summit?
Probably not a interactive prototype yet.
But something that you could show that say this is what it's going to look like, this is what it's going to work like, etc.
Yep. So this is basically the wallet. This
Hmm.
is the Viva wallet, and you would have your ball here in the center. You'd be
Hmm.
able to rotate it to select your top token that displays the balance. And
Hmm.
then you'd also be able to flick left and right to basically go to your next page of tokens. And that makes it much more user friendly, just, rolling your thumb and you're not going through an Excel spreadsheet kind of thing.
Hmm.
So you got to top left your NFTs, top right your settings. The bottom left will be the voting tab. This will be for all of the QFS tokens where you're able to basically vote and attribute your utilities for being actioned. And then on the bottom right here, you'll have your passive income tab where you'll be able to select which passive incomes you want to receive. And then, of course, we'll have our marketplace DEX interface and your ability to scan and your send and receive. So it's going to be a very simple, user-friendly wallet.
Interesting. And now, is this a hardware wallet or a software wallet, or is it both?
It's going to be a software wallet that's a phone application for Android and iOS.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, hopefully we have some time there. I don't know how much screen time we can give you, but if there was somebody that's going to get some screen time on something that's very exciting that warrants being demonstrated, this would be the project to do. I don't want to, have overhead projections and long-winded screen presentations. This is not that kind of a setting. It's more going to turn out to be the ultimate XRP party as the XRP explodes prior to the 8th and the 9th, and hopefully by the 20th as Donald Trump draws near. So this will be the very first XRP party, a lot of XRP aficionados that they can go to. There's nothing before this one, and there's a few after this one, but this will be the first in 2025 that they can come to. So that's going to be very exciting. Anything else that I forgot to ask you that I should ask you about that you're doing that is exciting? I know that you had an accident and something hit you in the head and you came out of that accident a lot more intelligent. I think the audience would love to know about that.
Yeah, well, so I was actually blown up in Iraq in 2009. I had amnesia for a few days around the IED blast, but basically I knew I was supposed to go out on mission, and then I was supposed to come back. And a couple of weeks later, they asked me why I wasn't at my follow-up for my TBI, and I said, "What follow-up?" Because I didn't remember. But shortly after that, I started having migraines that felt like I was hit by a truck. And as lovely as those were, they came with the added benefit of me starting to understand and see systems in ways that I simply couldn't before. So I initially started with, kind of my teenage love of cars, which was that I went back from Iraq. I started building cars from the frame up, building the motors, building transmissions, and I had no formal training. I simply could look at it and understand all the moving parts and what was supposed to be there and what was broken and what wasn't. And it was just like it was a natural occurrence to me. I went from that into, of course, I was a combat medic at the time, so it also assisted me in understanding anatomy and physiology. And at the same time, I started inventing things. I started to think about with the car motor, how do I do this better? How do I do this without an explosion and heat in the motor, which is what eventually led me to creating the over Unity drive and the generator that I shared last time at the Quantum Summit. And with that, I also realized I needed some money to make these things happen. So I started looking into finance. And as I understood the financial picture, I also understood the full picture of the cabal. Because unfortunately, when you follow the money, it's real hard to avoid knowing exactly what's going on in the world.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was kind of my path.
Interesting. And there's a name for that. What happened to you?
That's
What is that name?
acquired savant syndrome.
Okay, acquired savant. I'm sure that some of you probably never heard of that before, but I know that I was like blown away when I heard that at the Quantum Summit, the first one. I was like, oh my God, how can somebody get into an accident, get blown up, and come out the other side still alive, but smarter than before, and start working on engines and transmissions, something that you've never done before, and now you understand exactly how it's working, the parts that need to be replaced because they're malfunctioning, et cetera, and put that back together and probably works better than before. That's wild, bro. That is absolutely wild. I can't wait to have you there. And we were going to close out, but I'm going to hold you back for a little bit. Guys, this was unbelievable. This is probably one of the best interviews Patrick Riley has given us. How do they find you? How do they follow you? Do you have a X account? Uh, Go ahead.
So my X account is QFS underscore president, because I'm the president of Quantum Financial Systems. And our primary website is reaper.financial. And if you scroll to the bottom, you'll find links to all our other tokens and applications.
So at QFS underscore president, do you have a blue check mark in yours?
I do.
Okay. That's important because they might have a bunch of copycats. I'm sure you have a couple of clones.
Oh yeah, I do. But I will say that blue check mark is never guaranteed. It could go away at any time. I'm a little outspoken.
You don't say. Well, it's been fun having you back. I'm going to hold you back, guys. Get this out there. The Quantum Summit. Listen, you want to be there because the minute that if I was you, I'd buy the ticket now. You know why? Because if you wait until Donald Trump takes his hand off the Bible to see if Mel Carmine was right, you're going to find out that I was right. And then the tickets, and I cannot guarantee that there's going to be tickets available in 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now. I can't. And I know the cutoff date is on the 25th because it's a catered event. I have to hand out a list of names. Okay. So if the XRP goes to $8, like we're predicting, he's predicting a little bit less. I'm predicting a little bit more. We'll see what happens. Maybe might be somewhere in between, and makes us both right. In that event, the tickets are going to sell out, and this is going to be the biggest party in the XRP history. God forbid the price tag of $20, $30 by March 8th, March 9th, which is the price tag we're playing with, it becomes a reality. It's going to be a party on steroids. People are going to talk about this for the next 17 years to come. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you. And don't forget, oh, by the way, one last announcement. Staying Alive is having an open house this coming Saturday, which is the 11th. There's going to be 3 seatings, 10 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock, something like that. And then there's another seating at like 4:30. It's going to be an epic event. We're expecting over 150 people in those 3 seatings. And I think there's maybe 5 or 6 seats left if you want them. Stayingalive.com. Staying Alive is spelled with 2 E's at the end now. Okay. All the information is on the website. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you. Welcome to carminesgold.com. Don't waste not even a second looking. Cheaper prices just don't exist. How important is it for you to own gold and silver right now? What does it mean to me personally? There's an economy that's about to crash beyond what words can explain. In 5 words, I'm going to educate you on gold and silver. Are you ready? You need to own some. Simple. Time is of the essence as the walls are closing in. This crash is visibly in motion right now. Don't kid yourself. The only way to preserve wealth is to become your own central bank. Just by owning gold and silver, the banks that are going into survival mode are currently stacking gold and silver like it's going out of style. You have the same opportunity instead of keeping your money in paper, which is worthless. Again, this is not financial advice. Going into survival mode is everything. Preserving your wealth and positioning your family to thrive in the near future is paramount. The time to take action is beyond crucial. God's money cannot be faked. It's got intrinsic value. It's got plenty of usability. And because the crypto game could be extremely complicated for most, this becomes the only way to preserve your wealth in the current times we live in. The price manipulation that has occurred over the last 150 years is about to come to a full stop as we move into an extremely different world. And the true value of gold and silver is going to shine like never before. The people who vividly see what's happening have moved into panic buying right now. The people who get it, who are positioned for wealth preservation, who are accumulating every week, every month, stand to change their course of history for 100 generations to come. Buying gold and silver from carminesgold.com at unbeatable prices is the best decision you'll ever make. I'm going to end by saying this. This is my opinion and not financial advice. This crash is knocking on the door, and it's clear. It's here. We can fill any size order, $500, $500,000, and yes, even $10 million. Your best option to preserve wealth, if you don't understand cryptocurrency, is gold and silver. Do it now.